Hi guys, this is James Brew, Mr. of the Brew Show, and if the settings look familiar, it's because I came to surprise some people and I got a surprise interview out of it. This is Africa Global Radio, and you can see a very nice logo behind me. It's Believe Africa, and it's such a nice name. I mean, let's be honest, this continent has a lot to offer. It has a lot of resources that can make us the best place ever. And there's a guy who believes in the vision, and he's still right next to me.
Thank you, James.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
you couldn't put it any better. Yeah, very well put. The Believe Africa podcast is about helping young Africans to believe in themselves. So this word belief is really quite powerful, right? Hence, we're using it as part of the brand. And we believe that if young Africans could embrace a growth mindset, if they can aspire to develop a strong character, and if they can also have a positive attitude, they can go on to become very successful. Every single young African deserves to be successful. Now, the interesting part is that the young African population is going to be the largest in the whole world in just a few decades away. So we have this huge opportunity to transform the whole continent. And I think it's very, very possible. We definitely believe that it's possible. We still have a lot of us as Africans who don't believe that it's possible because of how the previous, decades, generations have panned out. But now we're in a very different new wave. And the good thing as well is that our young Africans are very hungry for change. And we see this across the continent with a lot of snippets of success stories from young Africans. We have had interviews with some of them already, and their stories are meant to inspire our listeners to believe that they can also become great. Yes. So this is the general aim. Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, I fully agree.
Yeah.
We have a lot of potential within ourselves to excel beyond our wildest dreams. I mean,
Yes.
and it's not just because I surround myself by a lot of things that inspire, including movies. And if you watch the MCU and you see Wakanda
Yes.
being represented so wonderfully, you
Yep.
feel like it can't just be fictional. It could really be
Real.
real. So what's
Yes.
preventing us from making it so?
Yes.
And sorry,
Yes.
guys, I forgot to tell you who he is. And since I forgot, I'm going to let him do that for you.
Yes.
And then tell you why he started the podcast.
Right. Okay. Thank you, James. Yeah. So my name is Cyril Awere. I've started this new podcast, Believe Africa, but it's really a joint effort, by the way. I have just merely started it. I have the support of African Global Radio, really amazing support. Without them, this would not be possible. So I think all of us want to see us as being like a dot. And all we are doing is connecting all these dots together. That will help to make Africa great. So we can't just independently make Africa great. We need to come together. Yes, we need to collaborate. And we do struggle with this collaborating kind of piece because each of us wants to become successful independently, but that's not real. We need to refrain from selfish thinking and start to think, what can we do together? And when we really come together, we see this with other parts of the world when they've come together. Our colleagues in Asia, India is a very good case study of that. They really do work together, and we see the outcome of collaborative working. There's no reason why we cannot do that here in Africa. So we have to change our thinking first and foremost. We have to change our character. We have to become more people of integrity. We have a lot of challenges with corruption in this country. It's hurting us big time. We cannot move forward and think that we can still remain corruptive. Yeah. And then, of course, with a positive attitude. So when we combine this all together, Africa is going to be great. Yes.
And truly, Africa is going to be great. Now, I have a few questions for you based on what you've said.
Sure.
Positive mindset definitely needs to happen. A
Mm.
change in attitude has to happen.
Yes.
As being more, having more integrity and all that.
Yes.
What do you
Yes.
think needs to happen first? I mean, I believe in chain reactions
Right.
and domino effect.
Yes.
What do you think needs to happen first? What do you think is the biggest roadblock preventing Africa from succeeding?
So, well, fortunately, a few of us have this mindset, this growth mindset, right? And what those of us that already have the right mindset have to start to help those that don't have the right mindset to come into the growth mindset fold. This is the first part. It really starts with how we are thinking. Yeah. So we shouldn't be selfish if we already have the mindset. We should really help our brothers and sisters to think that when you start to think this way, that's how we can see positive change. Yeah. There's a lot of us that are still maintaining our old ways of thinking, but we still want that positive outcome. So this is not possible. So we have to change. Yeah, it's like me saying that I want to go to Johannesburg, right? But I don't like flying.
You can't ride
Well,
it.
how am I going to get to South Africa? It's a very long
Very easy work
journey.
here.
Yeah, I won't survive, right? So I have to become comfortable with flying. I have to go to the airport, catch the flight, and go to Johannesburg. Yeah. So all of us have to start to think differently about how we do things. When I came from London to Accra, I saw how corruption is hurting us. And my family, friends said to me, "Oh, Cyril, that would na wabo. Do what a you will get adopted and then you'll be fine. You will simulate and then you will join in and everything will be good."
But you didn't want to be
Absolutely not, James. So as I am sat here, I have not given a pesewa to a police officer on the roads.
Guys, how many of you can say same? I'm
Right.
not going to say I can. I'm not going to say I can.
Aha.
I decided I
You
don't want
see,
to lie
James.
too much in 2024. So
Right. Okay. And that's good honesty. Really, I mean, can you imagine if every single Ghanaian said, "I am not going to give a pesewa to a police officer"? That's when we will see change.
but most of us will be in jail.
No, they can't jail all of us, James. You can't jail every single Ghanaian driver on the streets. You can't. Yeah? Yeah. So we have to come together and say, okay, we're not going to do this thing, or we're going to do this thing. It's only when we are together that something can happen. Yeah? If half of us are doing it, and then the other half is doing something else, then it can just remain as it is.
Or go west.
Exactly. Yeah. So please do not give a pesewa to a police officer. Now, you see, the interesting thing, James, is that a lot of us don't even know the law. I am sure legally, a driver is not meant to give monies to a police officer, regardless of the offense. Yeah. But a lot of us don't know this. Yeah. So even if we've done something wrong, instead of actually taking you through the right process, and by the way, when they say you have to go to court the next day, that's all lies, right? Because that's not how the court system works. There has to be a much more, a better way of handling that offense. Yes, you have to give in a notice, whatever. But there has to be a different process from how it is on the streets today. So I'm using that as an example. Because if we all come together and say that this is what we're going to do, it takes courage, because determination, discipline, yeah, and saying that this, because so when I got stopped by the police, I tell you what happened. I got stopped by the police because I didn't have my physical driver's license with me at the time, and so. But I quickly sensed that all they needed was money. This was the main motive was to take money. It's not because of the offense that I had committed, right? Now, at that point, I had decided, anyway, I knew that I wasn't going to give this police officer a peswa. So when he stopped me and was questioning me, and I said I don't have my driver's license here, and then he called me to the side, so I came out to the car, and then he said, well, then you have to pay because you should be carrying your driver's license, yeah. And I said, sorry, I'm not paying. I don't pay a peswa to any police officer. So this police officer became very, very offended, by the way, because for him, everyone pays. So now you are. So what makes you so special? What do you mean you won't pay, right? And I told another police officer that I called another police officer and I said, do you know why our country is in a mess? It's because of people like you, yeah, that are stopping us from moving forward as a country. How does that make you feel? Knowing that you are part of why we cannot move forward as a country. And then his other colleague realized what I'm saying, and he said, baby. And that was it. Sat in my car and then off.
Which area was it?
This wasn't actually no. This wasn't even in cantonments.
Ah, that's fine. This wouldn't have happened in Bowie.
Really? So it depends where you are.
It depends on where.
And so that's the other problem too, right? Because that suggests that we don't have consistent ways of police, handling different situations. Yeah. So I felt obliged to give this as an example, because as Ghanaians we need to start to stand up. Really, we have to be courageous. We have to save our country. We can't continue as we are being complacent and saying, "Oh, it's you." So, the worrying thing, James, when I told my friends and family what had happened, the first thing they said to me is, that's when I knew that we have a big problem. Because everyone thinks that the first thing that comes to mind is to just give them something and go. So that's how the problem remains as it is. Yeah. So we have to make a conscious decision to say that, no, I'm going to do things in the right way. If more of us are doing it, then it becomes a problem for those that think that they can get away with doing the wrong thing. Yeah. And we have to be very, very firm about it. Yeah. And lead by example. We shouldn't just settle for mediocrity. So that's me, James.
I feel like I've learned a lot sitting here. I mean, I already knew some of the things that face us as Africans.
Yes.
And most of the time we do the harm to ourselves. And let's not kid ourselves, we do a lot of harm to ourselves.
Yes, it's self-inflicted, right? Yes.
So
self-inflicted.
If you're given the continent a time frame,
yes,
for everything to work properly and for us to achieve greatness
collectively. Yes.
How quickly do you think this might happen?
Oh, I think this will be decades. Yeah, this is long term. Even if we were to take just Ghana by itself, it will take decades, right? But the thing is, we have to start from somewhere. We need visionary leaders in this country.
I really think that's where the problem might be, because you already pointed out a few minutes ago that one of the biggest issues is integrity.
Yes.
And another one is foresight. I chipped in the foresight.
Yes.
So if we're in a situation where you know that if something is going to work, and this is all part of the reason why we need to change the mindset, by the way. If something is not going to work for you and it's going to work for the next generation, if I'm not going to benefit, why am I going to bother?
Yeah, but that's the selfish thinking element, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, as I'm sat here, I know that this positive change is most likely not going to happen in my lifetime, but I'm very considerate of the future generation, making sure that at least into the future there will be a better life for them. I think it's not good for us to think just for ourselves. We should think about our children and our grandchildren. Unfortunately, we live in an age where a lot of our older ones think this way. They only think about their particular period. So we don't really concern ourselves with the future and our grandchildren, etc. But we are hopeful. Believe.
Believe.
Yes,
Believe
believe.
in Africa, believe Africa.
Yes.
So, in wrapping up, how can people contact you, and any final words for anyone who gets inspired by this video?
So yeah, if you're listening, what would be really, really great for you to do in the first instance is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We need numbers, right? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, our podcast, Believe Africa. You would find it. Just type in Believe Africa, and you'd find. Even if you go to the website, all the links are there on the website, and join the conversation, please. And let's help save our country, our continent. We can only do this together, and that's all we ask for. Yeah.
That is all we ask for, guys. It's been a
Yes.
pleasure bringing this video to you. Once again, my name is James Brew, of the Brew Show. You can find the Brew Show on social media. So Facebook and LinkedIn is the Brew Show, X and Instagram and Threads, the Brew Show 3690. You can find James on the same platforms as James Brew or James Emisa or JBrew 3690.
Thank you very much, James.
Always welcome.
Together we can do this.
Of course, like a
Yes.
broomstick, if you are separated, we are broken easily.
Absolutely.
But if we join together,
Nothing unstoppable. Yeah.
Before I let you go, who did the logo?
Oh, that's a very good question, James, because we have to compliment the team. This is all courtesy of African Global Radio. The team has been absolutely amazing. They helped to come together with this logo. And I particularly like the red text, the Believe Africa font, because it's very, very African. But the whole team have done amazing. Not just with this logo, but with the recordings that we're doing. And we will see this when it all comes onto the internet.
Yeah.
The amazing work that the team here have done.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's proof that if you collaborate, you can achieve great heights.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Charlie,
Good.
guys, pleasure. Full time.